Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Gina, and I believe here on my channel that there's more to life than looking good, but you've got to look good too. So today is going to be one of my feel-good videos because I am hoping again to, as one of you guys commented in one of my last car chats, I'm hoping to activate your brain cells. That was what she said. I thought that was so cute, because if that is in fact what these car chats do, then my work here is done. I so enjoy getting people to think and talk with me about it, and actually challenging myself to think, because like I said, I think the more that you talk to yourself, the more you learn yourself, and the more the more you're able to kind of deal with everything that life has to give you. So I've been marinating. I was talking about marinating my ideas. I've been marinating this particular idea for a little while, and I thought that it might be kind of appropriate for this morning's car chat. Thank you, by the way, for well, first of all, making me do them again. I really do enjoy them. It is a different experience for me. I was referencing in my last car chat, which I'll link here, but I was saying I wonder if the way that I talk to you changes because I'm driving in traffic, but and I like it because I like the car chats, because I felt like when I was in my home doing deep, meaningful conversation car chats, I felt like I was a little bit like on a spotlight, and so I enjoy doing it here in the car because it just seems a little bit, just seems much more chill. And so anyway, I had been again watching some YouTube videos. I enjoy watching beauty videos. I enjoy watching organization, shopping videos, you know, all that stuff. But when other YouTube creators will do like Q&A or kind of just like a commentary, I enjoy those too, because I'm looking for them to activate my own brain cells. And so then this was what happened, what I had learned in another YouTube video. I don't remember where I heard it because it was quite some time ago. But what that particular person was talking about was this idea of no regrets. She had no regrets in her life because she felt like everything, you know, everything that happened to her up until that point made her who she was. And I think there's tremendous validity to that statement, that we are the product of all of our experiences, and every single thing we do adds a little, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a feather? What are we, chickens? But it adds a little feather, it adds a notch, it adds how about a diamond? It adds a diamond to our bracelet of life. You know, everything that we go through contributes to who we are, and it's the reason who we are today is a result of our past experiences, which, by the way, kind of messes with your brain a little bit, because what if things had at one point turned out a little differently? What if you got one experience instead of another? That means that potentially, for example, I could be a completely different person right now. And you hear how different events in your life completely shape who you are, and what if you missed out on that? And I mean, there's always, you know, there's free will, and you know, actually that's another car chat topic that I've got brewing in my head, this whole idea of free will and destiny and such. But I'm just saying, you know, we've got choices that we make every day, and for one reason or another, we make one choice versus another choice. And so what if that major compelling thing was missing? You could be a different person. I'm sorry, the lighting's kind of bad this morning based on where the sun is, so hopefully you can hear me. You don't have to look at me anyway, it's not a pretty face, so you just listen to me. So anyway, so I was like, yes, no regrets. And in fact, you find that on bumper stickers a lot, and I'm sure someone's got a tattoo about that. No regrets. Very empowering, right? But I think there's a lot to be said for that, because you don't want to go through your life carrying that as baggage. I talk about baggage and how it colors our relationships and our perspective and our mindset and stuff. And so baggage, not necessarily a good thing, which, by the way, you guys were commenting a lot on my last car chat about why there are haters, why people behave as haters. And a lot of it potentially has to do with baggage, like how you feel about yourself and maybe some of the experience that you've had. And so this whole idea of no regrets, I think, is pretty valuable. And that was my initial gut reaction, but you know me, I can't just let anything go. My brain like doesn't shut off. And so I was thinking about it, and then I started to get like frustrated with this idea of this no regret, almost like a cliche. Like it was something that of course you're not supposed to have regrets. You know, only losers have regrets. You know, own your life and own your experiences and own your choices, or own whatever even wound up happening to you, maybe indirectly, maybe it wasn't even a choice. And it almost became like, or becomes like a battle cry, like no regrets. And I got frustrated by it because I was thinking, well, that's something that sounds good in theory, and partially in practice. Like I said, you don't want the baggage, but if you delve a little deeper into it and you take a moment to kind of really think about what that means, I feel like we're missing out, potentially. I don't know. As always, I want you guys to tell me what you think, but this was where my brain started going. This whole idea of not having any regrets, I think we shortchange ourselves. And getting stuck on that, you know, that train of, you know, that, like I said, that cliche of no regrets, I think that potentially could hurt us. Because if you don't put it in the right perspective, you lose the opportunity to have a benefit from it. So what am I talking about? So the word regret, I think part of the reason that caught on so quick, this no regrets thing, is because the word regret is very negative in its connotation. Just, but you know, I regret something, and you immediately feel like almost empathetic when somebody would say something like that, because that word in itself carries such negativity. It's such a downer. It's like, oh, you regret that. I'm so sorry. Nothing you could do about it because you already made the decision, but I'm sorry that you regret it. But I think if we only keep it categorized, you know, reflecting on our past experiences, I think if we keep it categorized as a regret, then yeah, it's going to be like a negative thing. But what if we instead of calling it a regret, what if we instead, meaning, what if instead of looking back on your life and determining whether or not you regretted something, and then having that sounds very like finite, like be all end all, black and white. Do you regret it or not? See, I think there is power in the opposite perspective. I think that there is power in the reflection of your life. We have to look back on the choices we've made and the experiences we've had, and how they have in fact impacted us. Because what if they impacted you in a negative way? And I don't want to say like, oh, well, then that means you should regret that situation. But we do need to reflect and like interpret like what went on for us. So just a general, I started thinking about my own life. I was going to say as a general example, and then I really couldn't think of anything, and all I could think to talk about was myself. So I think I've mentioned, I mentioned in one of my other car chats, you know what, I'm just going to link that playlist because you can see the evolution of how crazy I am. And now my brain decides that it wants to think. But in one of my previous car chats, I had referenced how when I was younger, I was single a lot. And I think a lot of it was my own, maybe all of it was my own responsibility, because I put this vibe, I called it this vibe, I had a bad vibe. Put this bad vibe out there. I had some mild depression, and I know that all teenagers do, but I have come to find out that mine was linked potentially to my diagnosis as a type 1 diabetic. That those two situations are very closely related. So I feel like I had, on top of the normal like teenaged angst, or whatever you want to call it, I had an added level, not a lot, but an added level of kind of depression and whatever. As such, it impacted my attitude, my personality, the way that I related to others, and I can see that I put out a very bad vibe. Like, I really just had a bad, and I don't know which came first, you know, chicken or the egg. I don't know if it was the depression that came first and then kind of my perspective that I put out there, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I was just, you know, just not in a happy place. And I look back at that time, and going along with that too, I also took things very seriously. Like school, I was devoted to. I'm not even sure where that came from, but like straight A's were like my thing. And I had to work for it. I'm not naturally gifted. I mean, I am smart, but my husband can like sit in a class and like could like regurgitate everything that he heard in that one class. Like, I have to take notes, I have to study, whatever. So I was very serious. The many aspects of my life back then were very serious. My approach to my work ethic, my approach, like I said, my vibe was very serious. And I reflect back on that, and it's funny because I was actually just going to say I regret that, and my stomach kind of turned because I'm like, oh, regret sounds so strong and negative. But for the most part, I don't like the way that whole thing went. I wish, honestly, knowing what I know now, which of course I didn't know at the time, but I wish I had chosen differently. I think that's why, to this day, I am the first person to make fun of myself. Like, if I'm in like a group of people and there's an opportunity to make fun of me and someone else didn't seize on it first, like, I'll put myself out there and I'll call my own self out and I'll make fun of myself, because it is the most liberating feeling to be able to laugh at yourself and to be able to not take yourself so seriously. And so I think back on that period of my life quite a bit. You know, do I wish it went differently? Well, yeah. I mean, I think I would have had a better time. I've always said, if I ever, you know, if reincarnation actually exists, I wish that I could bypass like through high school and part of college, because I just wasn't in a happy, it wasn't a happy time for me. I know some kids like live for it, and I'm curious about that. Like, I envy that. I wish I had that. You know, am I losing sleep over it right now? No, because you know what? It doesn't freaking matter. Because all that shit that went on in high school and whatever, and all that school stuff, doesn't matter. The straight A's don't matter. They certainly don't matter to the extent where they need to like take over your life. You know, if you're the type of person who's so naturally gifted that straight A's comes easy to you, well, congratulations. Because it wasn't super easy for me. It required a lot of work, and I wish I had devoted some time elsewhere. My point, so that's me. And I challenge you to do the same. Like, what areas or what choices or what situations of your life do you wish had gone differently? And I think my point today is that I think that having that perspective of that reflection and discovering and acknowledging what you learned is so much more valuable than the surface power that you may get from just saying, I have no regrets. Like, I don't feel bad about the way my personality, like, it doesn't make me feel bad reflecting on my personality at that time. I just have learned from it. I wish it had gone differently, but in doing so, I have completely altered the way that I see myself now and the way that I behave now. And as much so, if I do something embarrassing in front of others, I mean, thank goodness, nothing comes to mind immediately, but I'm sure there is a list in there somewhere. Maybe I'm just hiding it. But, you know, even like today, if I were to do something embarrassing, or, you know, kind of a foot in mouth, put your foot in your mouth sort of a thing, which I don't understand that statement either. Okay, you wish you didn't say something, but you have to eat your foot. Like, what is that? But if I were to be in an embarrassing situation, back in the day, I would have, you know, like, it would have destroyed me. And now I'll be the first one at that moment to call myself out on it, because it's never so important. And I think that if you stick to the idea that there should be no regrets only, like you use that only, I think you limit yourself. I'm afraid that you limit yourself. Maybe you don't. And if you want to, like I said, you know, as always, if you want to challenge, you know, my statements here, please do. But I feel like unless we reflect back on things that have happened and the experiences that we've gone through and the way that we handled things before, every single one of our life experiences is a learning experience, but we have to look for it because it doesn't just happen automatically. Because for example, my personality back in the day became my habit. It was the way that I was used to living, and the only way it changed is because I made it change. And then in doing so, I was also then evaluating how it was going. And what I was learning and realizing was it felt damn good to be able to laugh all the time at myself. Shoot, my camera cut out, so I'm not sure where it cut me off. I think it got too hot sitting on the dashboard because it is approximately about 75 degrees outside. But perhaps I'll just kind of use a closing sort of statement here then. I guess that's my cue. I've been talking too long. I feel like in reflecting back on our life, every situation can be learned from. And if you proceed with the idea of no regrets, then you don't take the opportunity to learn because you're just saying, well, you know, that situation happened and that's for what it was. And I just worry, I guess that's my point, is I worry that thinking that you need to lead this life of no regrets, I just worry that without some interpretation on that, and without some reflection, and without some learning, that might hold you back a little bit. And so that's my point. How do you live your life? Are you thinking about what went on in your past and how you can use that to learn or move towards your future or affect your present day? Do you live with no regrets? Do you really, truly live in the moment? And there's something to be said for that too, honestly. No worries, no cares. It doesn't matter what happened before. I'm just living for now. That's interesting. So where do you fall? How do you approach the development of your life? How do you feel about the evolution of who you are and your life? Wow, is anybody watching this in the morning? Because that's some major stuff to think about over a cup of coffee. Maybe finish your coffee before. Anyway, so that's my car chat for the day. I hope that the camera didn't cut off too much. And so I hope that the splicing wasn't all that choppy, but you feel me, right? See, you know what? I'm not going to stress it because it was out of my control. However, now I've learned that I need to keep looking for the red light on hot mornings when I'm driving to work to make sure that my camera doesn't cut out. So thank you again for spending your time with me. Please do take the time to leave me a comment down below. If I made you think, or if you laughed at me at least once, then please give my video a like, because that will definitely help me out. Thank you for being one of my subscribers. If you are not a member of the G Crew, then please, I invite you to join us so that you know when I'm posting other videos about these crazy sort of thinking things and the things that I try to challenge you with. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Please check me out over there as well. Regardless, I hope that my conversation today will as one of you guys said, activate your brain cells. Because like I said, if that has happened, then my work here is done. Hope you have a good day. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, thanks.